There's a battle inside you that no one knows about. The kind of fight that doesn't make noise. The silent fight within is the kind of battle that doesn't echo through the world, but it shakes the foundation of your soul. It's the one you fight in the dark, when no one is around to hear your thoughts or see your tears. It's the internal struggle that exists between the person you are and the person you want to become. It's the tug of war between faith and fear, strength and surrender, peace and pain. You don't post about it, you don't talk about it, but it consumes you. And the truth is, every person alive is fighting some version of that same war, the invisible one that doesn't make headlines but defines destinies. This silent fight begins in moments that seem ordinary. When you wake up in the morning and feel that heavy weight pressing down on your chest. The world's tough. When you put on a smile that doesn't reach your eyes, when you tell everyone you're fine, even though your spirit feels like it's breaking. No one sees it because you've learned to hide it. You've learned to keep functioning, to keep showing up, to keep doing what's expected, even when inside you're just trying to hold yourself together. That's the cruel beauty of the silent fight. No one knows how much strength it takes just to appear okay. The mind becomes a battlefield. Thoughts race, fears echo, doubts whisper louder than truth. You question your worth, your direction, your purpose. You replay mistakes like old songs and imagine futures that scare you. Sometimes the hardest part isn't what's happening around you, but what's happening inside you. The constant noise, the pressure to keep pushing, the feeling that you're not enough, even when you're giving your all. The world keeps moving, expecting you to keep pace, but they don't see the internal storm you're trying to calm. Yet, there's something deeply human about that struggle. The silent fight shows how much you care. You wouldn't be battling so hard if you didn't still believe there's something worth fighting for. A dream, a purpose, a version of you that deserves to exist. Every tear you hide, every night you endure in silence, is a reminder that your heart hasn't given up. It still hopes, even when it's hurting. It still believes, even when it's tired. That's the quiet kind of courage that changes people from the inside out. You see, it's easy to be strong when the world is cheering for you, when success is visible and validation is constant. But real strength is built in silence. It's built when no one sees your effort, when there's no recognition, when you're standing in the dark holding yourself together by sheer will. That's when you discover what kind of person you truly are. Not when you win in public, but when you survive in private. The silent fight within teaches patience, humility, and depth. It forces you to face parts of yourself you've tried to ignore. It shows you that growth doesn't always come with light. Sometimes it's born in darkness. And even though it's painful, it's also powerful. Because when you finally rise, not because someone lifted you, but because you lifted yourself, you realize that the war inside was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to rebuild you, piece by piece, into someone unshakable. Strength in stillness is one of the most misunderstood forms of power. We live in a world that glorifies noise, motion, and constant productivity. Everyone seems to be in a rush to prove something, to show progress, to display strength through action. But true strength isn't always loud, visible, or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's found in the moments when you choose calm over chaos, patience over panic, and presence over pressure. Strength in stillness is the ability to remain centered. Even when everything around you is shifting, it's standing firm in the middle of uncertainty. Knowing that peace isn't the absence of storms, but the ability to stand unshaken in the middle of one. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what matters most, choosing control over reaction. It's easy to lash out, to complain, to let emotions dictate your path when life becomes overwhelming. But it takes true courage to pause, breathe, and choose to respond instead of react. That moment of silence, that moment when you refuse to let anger or fear lead you, that's power. It's a kind of inner discipline that not many can master. Strength in stillness is about trusting your own energy more than the noise around you. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to prove myself. I just need to stay aligned with who I am. When you're still, you hear things that chaos drowns out. your intuition, your purpose, your truth. You start to notice what's actually happening inside you, the thoughts that shape your reality, the fears that hold you back, and the strength that's been there all along waiting to be acknowledged. Stillness is where growth begins. It's in those quiet moments of reflection that you find clarity about what really matters. It's where you stop chasing validation and start building conviction. The world may call it stillness, but within it, transformation is happening silently, powerfully, and deeply. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is wait. Wait for the right moment, the right direction, the right peace of mind. That waiting isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Because strength isn't always about pushing harder. Sometimes it's about allowing life to unfold without forcing it. It's knowing when to move and when to rest. It's realizing that rushing through pain doesn't heal it faster, and that sometimes standing still is the only way to hear what life is trying to teach you. Strength in stillness is also about self-trust. When you're quiet, doubts try to speak louder. The mind wants to fill the silence with fear and overthinking. But when you choose to stay still anyway, when you choose to breathe through the noise, you teach yourself resilience. You prove that you can endure discomfort without needing to escape it. You learn to be okay with uncertainty because you know that peace doesn't come from having control over everything. It comes from having faith in yourself no matter what happens. The most powerful people aren't those who dominate others or move the fastest. They're the ones who master themselves. They know when to be still, when to speak, when to act, and when to simply observe. Their calmness becomes their strength. Their stillness becomes their strategy. And while the world rushes to chase the next thing, they find balance in simply being. Not because they don't care, but because they've realized that the most meaningful victories are won in silence before they're ever seen by the world. Healing isn't always seen, and that's what makes it so misunderstood. People expect recovery to look obvious. Smiles returning, confidence restored, the light back in your eyes. But real healing rarely announces itself. It's quiet, subtle, and often invisible to everyone except the person living through it. It doesn't always come with grand moments of revelation or instant relief. Sometimes, healing looks like distance. Sometimes, it looks like saying less. Sometimes, it's getting through the day without breaking, even when you still feel the weight of what hurt you. Healing isn't a performance. It's a private, ongoing conversation between your soul and your scars. There are days when healing feels like you're going backward, like the pain is winning again, like all your progress was just an illusion. But that's part of the process. It's not linear, it's layered. You revisit the same memories, emotions, and doubts, but each time you face them, you carry a little more strength. No one may notice that strength. No one may see that you didn't cry today, or that you finally forgave someone in your heart without needing an apology. But those are victories, even if they're invisible. Healing isn't loud, and it doesn't need an audience to be real. Sometimes people around you will think you've already moved on because you're smiling again, working again, socializing again. But they don't see the quiet moments, the nights when the memories return, the mornings when you wake up and still feel the ache, the seconds when your heart clenches without warning. That doesn't mean you're failing to heal. It means healing is still happening. The wound doesn't close overnight, and just because the surface looks fine doesn't mean the inside isn't still tender. What others call over it might just be you learning how to live with it without letting it control you. Healing also means redefining what strength looks like. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about being honest enough to admit when it's not. It's letting yourself feel the emotions you tried to suppress for too long. It's giving yourself permission to rest, to not have all the answers, to not rush the timeline. It's understanding that taking a step back doesn't mean you failed. It means you're respecting your own pace. The world might not applaud that kind of strength, but it's the most authentic form there is. Because it's real, it's raw, it's yours. There's also a sacredness to invisible healing. You start to rebuild yourself in silence. You stop explaining your pain to people who can't understand it. You stop waiting for closure from those who hurt you. You learn to make peace without needing validation. That's when healing becomes transformation. Not the kind that others can see, but the kind that changes how you see yourself. You begin to trust again, not necessarily in people, but in your own ability to rise after being broken. You begin to realize that peace isn't the absence of pain, but the ability to live fully despite it. The beauty of healing is that one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Not because anyone pointed out, but because you can feel it in your soul. The pain that once consumed you won't control you anymore. The memories that once broke you will no longer define you. And even though no one may ever understand the depth of what it took to get here, you'll know, deep down, that your quiet, unseen healing was the most powerful thing you ever did for yourself. Pain becomes purpose when you refuse to let it end you, and instead allow it to evolve you. Every person who has ever walked through something difficult has stood at a crossroads. One path leading to bitterness and the other to meaning. Pain can destroy you, or it can define you in a way that gives your life new direction. It's not what happens to you that shapes your story, but what you choose to do with it afterward. The truth is, every heartbreak, every failure, every disappointment carries a lesson disguised as suffering. When you decide to look beyond the hurt, you begin to see that the pain wasn't meant to punish you. It was meant to prepare you. When life knocks you down, your first instinct is to ask why. Why me? Why now? Why this? But with time, the question shifts from why to what? What is this teaching me? What strength is this building in me? What purpose is being born from this? That shift is where transformation begins. Pain introduces you to parts of yourself you never knew existed. Resilience, courage, empathy, patience. It strips away illusions and forces you to meet the rawest version of who you are. It humbles you. It grounds you. And if you allow it, it can awaken a deeper sense of purpose that no comfort zone could ever create. Some of the most inspiring people you'll ever meet didn't have easy paths. They had painful ones. But instead of letting their wounds define them, they turned those wounds into wisdom. They took what broke them and used it to build something meaningful. They learned that pain doesn't have to be the ending of a story. It can be the beginning of a new one. The heartbreak taught them compassion. The failure taught them humility. The rejection taught them self-worth. Pain has a strange way of breaking you open, just enough to let the light in, and that light becomes the purpose you carry forward. Turning pain into purpose doesn't mean ignoring what hurt you or pretending it didn't matter. It means accepting that what happened cannot be changed, but how you use it can. It means allowing your scars to speak, not as reminders of suffering, but as proof of survival. It's about taking the weight of your experiences and shaping them into something that helps others, inspires growth, or fuels your dreams. Purpose isn't born out of perfection. It's born out of perseverance. It's the decision to find meaning in what tried to break you. Pain becomes purpose when you start realizing that the very thing you thought was ruining you is actually refining you. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you thought you couldn't survive was a piece of your becoming. It was carving strength into your character, depth into your heart, and wisdom into your soul. You start to understand that the pain wasn't random, it was a teacher. It taught you what matters, what doesn't, and what you're capable of. The purpose that comes from pain is powerful because it's personal. It's rooted in truth and experience. It carries authenticity because it was lived, not learned. You become more compassionate, more understanding, more connected to others who are suffering. You begin to help not because you were told to, but because you've been there. You know what it feels like to break, and that empathy becomes your strength. In the end, pain doesn't disappear. It transforms. It turns into purpose, direction, and drive. It reminds you that your greatest struggles were never wasted. They were the foundation of your greatness. You are not alone, even in silence. It's easy to believe that you are, especially when the weight of your thoughts feels too heavy to share, when the world seems distant, and when the people around you appear to move through life untouched by the pain that keeps you awake at night. In those quiet moments, when you feel unseen and unheard, loneliness can whisper lies. That you're the only one struggling, that no one could possibly understand, that you're different in a way that isolates you. But the truth is, everyone is fighting something invisible. Everyone has nights when their heart aches and their mind won't rest. You may not see their battles, but they exist. The silence that surrounds you is not emptiness. It's a space shared by countless others who are also trying to find their way back to peace. There's a kind of comfort in realizing that behind every smile, behind every calm appearance, there's a story. Someone is carrying grief they don't talk about. Someone is healing from words that still echo. Someone is holding themselves together while pretending they're fine. The world is full of quiet warriors. People who face their fears alone, who cry behind closed doors, who get up every day despite the weight they carry. You are one of them. And though your silence may make you feel separated, it actually connects you to others in ways you don't realize. We're united by our shared humanity, by the invisible battles that shape us, and the resilience that keeps us moving forward. The feeling of isolation often comes from believing that no one would understand your pain. But the truth is, someone would. Someone has been where you are. Someone has felt that same emptiness, that same uncertainty, that same exhaustion from pretending to be okay. They may not be beside you physically, but their stories, their survival, their strength, they are proof that you are not alone in what you feel. There are people out there who have walked through the same kind of darkness and found their way to the light again, and so will you. Even when silence feels like an enemy, it can also be a friend. It gives you space to hear your own thoughts, to confront what hurts, to understand what you need. Sometimes silence isn't isolation, it's incubation. It's where strength quietly grows, where clarity slowly forms. The solitude you're in now might be shaping you for something greater. It might be teaching you to depend on yourself, to listen to your intuition, to build peace from within. And while it may feel lonely, you're never truly alone in that process, because countless others are learning the same lessons in their own silent corners of the world. Connection doesn't always require conversation. Sometimes it's felt in shared struggle, in unspoken understanding, in the knowing glance of someone who's been through it too. The world is full of hearts that would understand yours if they only knew your story. But even without words, you're connected to them through the simple fact that we all experience pain, growth, loss, and renewal. So when silence surrounds you, don't mistake it for abandonment. Think of it as the quiet before your breakthrough, as a reminder that you're still here, still fighting, still part of something larger than your struggle. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are part of a collective strength made up of people who, like you, are learning to heal, to hope, and to keep going, even when no one else can hear the battle they're fighting inside.